revolution.
McInnes went for the spoil when he didn't need to, and then he ran over the top of his own man. Oh boy, Sarakas kicks the goal. He's done it again. Sarakas has done it again with 28 seconds left. James Hird and his Bombers have won by 6 points.
Hello and welcome to Access All Areas. What an amazing effort by the Bombers on Saturday night. We'll get to the footy shortly, but first let's tick off the latest on the Essendon supplement scandal and welcome Damien Barrett, the man who broke this story almost 200 days ago. Damo, what do you expect to happen today?
Dus, we're going to get finally some form of resolution from the AFL perspective on this. It may not well be a complete resolution, but it's going to go a long way to being complete. And by the end of today, we will have a raft of sanctions that Essendon will be hit with and a raft of sanctions that they will accept. And let's have a look at
Let me put you on the spot, Damo. We have done this. Your predictions as to what is going to happen by the end of today? Or
The points will go, Dus, under a certain scenario that Essendon has agreed to. Again, this is conditional upon certain other things happening. But the points,
you're confident the points will go? The
points, as a discussion topic, as we speak, are being discussed by the Commission to be removed.
Essendon accepted?
They will under certain scenarios, and we'll work through certain scenarios. They'll accept them quite willingly, provided they don't lose too many draft picks. To me, they have to lose draft picks. To me, that has to be at least 2 drafts. And I would make it, if it was me, and it's not me, but I would make it first and second rounds in this year's draft and also in 2014. There's going to be a fine, Das. It could well be up to $3 million. We've put the $2.5 million figure there for what it's worth. It has to be more than $2 million on past the results from the AFL. Mark Thompson, I believe, will be coach of this club in 2014. He, as far as we can tell, will escape the serious charges he's been hit with by the AFL with a fine only, as opposed to what will happen to, I believe, James Hird and Danny Corcoran, who's also been charged. And I believe those 2 men will get suspensions. I've just put that there. Danny Corcoran, I believe, will cop a suspension.
How long?
I think it's going to be in the same vicinity as James Hird's, which will be 12 months zone, possibly more. Dr. Bruce Reid, all indications now he has had his last involvement with Essendon in a match day sense, and I think that will be part of him leaving. He's still going to answer charges. There will be some form of sanction notification, but it'll be really at the minor end and not one that attacks his credibility and integrity, and that's what he's working toward. And we've left James Hird there to be referenced last there, Das, because this is the big one. As we speak, and this is going to move today very quickly, but as we speak, the Supreme Court lodgement last week, it's still in play from James Hird. So until he and his lawyers remove that, the AFL can't go down the path of absolutely wrapping up what they want to do with him. But it's going to be a suspension. It's going to be, I believe, at least for the full season out. And I think had he come to the conclusion he's clearly come to since last Thursday, had he allowed David Evans to work through this as he was working through it, I believe it would have been a 1-year suspension down to 6 months, which would have effectively meant he would have been available for round 1 next year. That's what he's still fighting for. Again, this is going to move today quickly, but that's what he's going into today's negotiations, trying to have as his set case that he can coach this footy club from round 1 next year. I don't expect that to happen. I expect him to be out for the whole year.
2 quick questions on that, Damo. If he is going to be out for 12 months, does he get paid? And will he definitely come back and coach them the following year?
All indications are yes and yes now. Again, whether the AFL stipulates that there can be no involvement, there's no precedent for this. We can refer to an incident at the NFL, Das. A Super Bowl winning coach of the New Orleans Saints was banned for the game for an entire season of football. He wasn't allowed to communicate in any form with any person at that footy club. I'm just throwing that into the mix. These sorts of things will be discussed today. I don't expect that to be part of the James Hird sanction, but it's going to be mooted at some stage. That may well be a possibility. But Essendon, from all indications, are supporting him. If he wants to return to football, if it is a 12-month ban, that he can do so at the end of next season.
Damo, let's take a look at a finals draw scenario with round 23, very much a live round. Now, if ladder positions stay the same, Damo, this is what we are expecting to happen. In fact, this is what will happen. Hawthorn play the Sydney Swans.
Yep.
First versus fourth. Second and third will be Geelong, the home final against the Fremantle
Dockers.
Dockers.
Essendon in, obviously, with that. Yep.
Richmond, Port Adelaide, the first elimination final. Collingwood v Essendon will be the second elimination final. If the Bombers lose their points and ladder positions change accordingly, it'll be a Richmond-Carlton final, which will have a heap on it, and Collingwood will play Port Adelaide. So that's the way we are reading it with Essendon losing their points.
As the ladder stands currently.
Yeah.
That would worry Richmond, wouldn't it, more than if Essendon stays in, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a look at the Bombers from Saturday night, and what a result. Remarkable performance, Damo, and it absolutely staggered me to think that they could get themselves off the canvas, muster the energy for their coach, and incredible effort against Carlton, and a really emotional night, and you can just see what it meant to the Essendon players and the whole club involved.
Dus, you covered the game and you've covered this issue. Tell us the psyche of the player on that moment in that game. Was that what they made effectively their grand final? James Hird did admit after the game he had talked about the possibility of points being removed, which is a brave call to make. Would he have done that for motivational reasons and just, again, inside the mind of a player to produce that performance against the odds?
I think he did it for truthful and honesty reasons, is that he can't guarantee he will be there next week. And I think players are smart enough. If you try and kid players and say, hey, we're still a chance to win the premiership this year, you missed the mark.
Yep.
What they had was the opportunity to play in a game.
Yep.
They had a chance to make a statement. And I think it was really clever from James Hird to focus on what they knew and what they could control, then getting the players to actually buy into that and to perform the way they did. It did feel like a farewell for me, Damo. I must admit, I had that feeling with his family involved and everyone there. It felt like, in his mind, he had accepted what was going to come maybe today.
Yeah. And to produce that performance, having lost their previous four by an average of 58 points, it was quite incredible. Dus, the Swans were okay against Geelong. Dan Hanbury had a shot at goal late in the game to bring it back to 20 points. He missed it. They got smashed in the end. But against top 8 teams, when you compare them with the two teams above them on the ladder, Geelong and Hawthorn, that record there, 3-5-1 from performances against top 8 teams this year, doesn't look good, particularly against Geelong's 9-1 and Hawks 6-3.
Suddenly the Swans look a little bit wobbly, Damo, heading into finals, back-to-back premierships they're chasing. Rhys Shaw has done his knee, he'll be out for the year. Hanbury's got an issue with his knee that may be serious. Nick Smith looked like he was injured. We've got Sam Reid. We're not sure whether he's going to come back from a quad. He's got to be doubtful. Adam Goods and Jeddah as well.
Three of their best get him back this week, does? So just roll the dice this week before the finals?
Well, they've got to be right. And then if you do try and play players who are not quite fit, suddenly you get into this situation. So it was a big weekend for me for Sydney.
Are they gone?
Not
from
gone.
a premiership perspective.
Not gone. They're too resilient a team and too well a coached a side, and they set up so well on finals that there is some real doubt for me around Sydney.
Now, you're the greatest defender of all time of the big guy in footy, but look, Dus, how does this happen? Brent Harvey, the smallest man in the competition, just ragdolling Brian Lake.
I'm not sure Lakey's going to enjoy watching this one when he watches AFL.com today. And I like the little sledge afterwards. Hang on, Lakey, get up. He went on to run around the mark and kick the goal. Brian Lake's defence is that he got an elbow in the throat. I'm sorry, Lakey. You just have to get up from that one. You can't allow the smallest player in the history of the game to do that to you. Hey, Luke Hodge won a Norm Smith medal in 2008. Playing exactly this role, Damo, and that is where I would play him right throughout the finals. He plays on his man, and wasn't loose man. He had Lindsay Thomas covered for most of the time. The best reader of the football.
Just forget all other roles with him.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you would never say never, depending on what happens. But if you could ideally set up your side, you've got the quarterback role that he does so well. His leg speed, never been a quick player. But
how does he get away with it, Dus? As you say, he's done this before and done it successfully throughout that 08 finals campaign. How can clubs still allow him to do that?
Because he's so smart, he reads the play so well, his teammates around him support him beautifully. So I think Hawthorn, to me, the side that looks absolutely perfect heading into the finals.
Dus, Shannon Burns is very prolific, was on Twitter. He's now moved his skill set to Instagram, and he's had a comparison here with Quentin Lynch of Collingwood looking a little bit similar to a Jaws character out of a James Bond movie.
And I actually quite like it, to be honest with you. And the tag that goes with it might be a lack of forward pressure from the big cue stick, but what about Jaws' frontal pressure? So a nice little bit of humour there from Shannon Burns. Nick Riewoldt, post-game, now he's got the Powerade to the face, and you can just see, he looked at Geary and said, if that's you, mate, I'm going to give you an all-time spray. Snyder's won the premiership, got a couple hundred games. Look at Snyder just whack the bottle on Riewoldt's face. And a little bit of well received there by the captain. their 4th win for
Not
the year.
initially well received,
No.
but eventually.
Depends on your status at a footy club, Damo. You get a little bit more respect if you've been around a bit longer. Just something I want to plug, Damo, is this Thursday night, raising money for a charity called Learning for Life, which is early intervention for young children with autism. Mick Malloy, Eddie Maguire have given up their time. Mark Seymour, Job Watson's our special guest. Unfiltered access to Job. So if you want to get involved, 100% of proceeds are going to this great charity, and all the money will affect a young child's life. So you can head to melbournepublic.com.au. We're putting on a night. Look forward to your support on that one. Thank you, Damo. That's it for another edition of Access All Areas. Keep coming back to afl.com.au. We'll have all the latest on the Essendon sanctions, plus any announcements streamed live right here on the AFL website. Thanks once again for joining us. Have a good week. We'll catch you next Monday. Goodbye.